Because the question I would actually want to bring up, kind of transitioning here, because you think about the fact that the Kings were playing like 5 games in like 7 nights or something.
Yeah, that's
it felt
crazy.
like quite a stretch of highly intense
I feel like when
work.
we usually talk after a week, they've
like 3 games.
3, maybe 4. We're like 5? Jeez.
Shoot. I remember we were going back. It's like, oh, shoot, the Chicago game would have been the last one, I guess.
Yeah.
Or the first one, rather. But they played a heavy stretch of games, doing the traveling, the back-to-back. You see it in the free throw percentage. They shot poorly at the free throw line against the Wizards. Didn't matter. And they shot poorly at the free throw line against the Celtics. Ultimately didn't matter, but still not a good look.
Mm-hmm.
I almost kind of want to say that's a little sign of you, like in maybe a broad way. It's kind of like takes a lot of focus. You take a little bit of focus off. You're not hitting your free throws. You're not taking advantage of those little things. I don't think it's impossible to say that fatigue or tired legs, whatever you want to say, can affect that. You see the frustration with the refs. I feel like that is partially warranted because Domas gets whacked around all the time. But also it's like, I'm helping my sister move and I see people get frustrated all the time. Why are they frustrated generally? They're tired. They're cranky, I feel like that kind of plays into it.
Yeah.
So the question I have is, do the Kings need to rest their players?
Man, that's a good... I don't know.
Because they seem so averse to it. Like Domas, I feel like Domas wouldn't want to do that at all.
Yeah.
And I kind of get an argument for and against. I get both of them. Because in one sense, you're like, well, if the Kings would have just rested some players against Utah, that probably would have helped their chances against Boston.
Or just rest your... or just chalk up Boston as a loss. Second night of a back-to-back against the second best team in the league, just be like, throw in the towel. Rest Fox and Domas. I think it's weird to say because the Kings... You don't really... I mean, you don't really see this from a team. You don't really see rest from a team like the Kings. Not saying that, like, not a third seed team, just like a team that hasn't been in the playoffs.
Exactly.
It's like you usually see them, like, well, as Kawhi, like, we might be in the 7th seed. But it's like, it's the Clippers.
Exactly.
Where the Kings still have a lot to prove. Exactly.
They haven't earned that. Like, they really have to work into it and continue kind of like, they gotta kind of prove that.
But do they? Or is that just our, like, old mindset?
I don't know.
And it's just like, just screw it, just rest these guys. Like, we're going to make the playoffs. That's a given.
It makes so much sense to just be like, fight through it because it is good for them and good for character. But after this stretch of games, I mean, you saw Utah. It's like Utah's got 3 starters out. It's like that. Not saying it's like you should have just rested so-and-so or so-and-so and whatnot and all that. But it's like that was an opportunity too.
Yeah, it was.
And I don't know. Again, it's like you see Sabonis playing with the avulsion fracture and he's getting banged around. He's got his finger wrapped up because on the other hand, right now, he's just a tough guy. It's not in his nature to take time off, but I don't know.
Yeah, they do look like they're getting a little tired out there. That's a good point. I mean, is there any gains? Because I mean, I think they're trying to probably keep up with Memphis at this point.
I mean, and props to Memphis because they did not sink in any manner.
No. So they end the season.
I would beware of Memphis in the playoffs. That's a team that is together.
Suns, Jazz, Timberwolves, Trailblazers, Spurs, Pelicans, Mavs, Warriors, Nuggets. I mean, I don't really see any. I mean, the Celtics game, in hindsight, it's like you look at that game, it's like that's a good rest game. Suns, no. You got 2 days of rest. Jazz, I mean, second night of a back-to-back again. It's like you're at home. I don't know. And you're trying to fight. So I can kind of see why the Kings kept their best players out there. Just because, they haven't really gained any ground on Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they did for a second, but now Memphis is, game and a half ahead of us again?
Yeah.
So.
Well, how many minutes did, Fox and Sabonis play against Boston? Because maybe it could be a minutes, balance thing.
He played a ton.
Yeah.
Sabonis
played 38 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
Because the rotations were such that they did not even touch Metu until garbage time.
Yeah.
So the only person that touched the 5 outside of Sabonis was Lyles. And Lyles had one of his worst games in recent memory.
Yeah. He was
just kind of a non-factor.
0
he had
points.
1 block.
He had 1 shot.
He only got up 1 3-pointer. He missed it.
Sabonis.
He committed a few turnovers within the span of a few minutes.
37 minutes for Sabonis, only 29 for Fox. Fox wasn't anything special. But, I mean, they did throw the towel in pretty early
Yeah.
for Mike Brown. Like, 5 minutes left.
And that's why the fatigue thing definitely stands out. Because it's like, that definitely lends to that idea. And Fox, bringing up Fox, I feel like Fox is the one that needs the rest.
Yeah, of course. I mean, he's the one running.
And I feel like lately he's been doing a lot more throughout the first 3 quarters of the game, or the first 2.5 quarters of the game. And was it against Utah? They were all like, because he scored like 30-something points against Utah. I think he had 37.
He had like 37, yeah.
But he was going into the fourth quarter with 32. And you hear Katie Christensen and Mark Jones going like, well, it's fourth quarter time, 32. There's still a whole quarter to play. Who knows where he's going to end up? He ends up with 37.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
Yeah, he didn't look like fourth quarter Fox we're used to seeing.
And I think he's putting on a little bit more of a load. Because he's definitely attacking earlier. And I think it's helping. That's a good thing to see. But it's like, you kind of pull the covers away, and then all of a sudden your feet are bare and your feet are cold. You know,
Yeah.
You take care of one thing, and then you got another problem.
Mm-hmm.
So I have no idea. I think it's something to consider. I think you get a playoff series or 2 or 3 or however many, God knows, I don't know, wild card situation with the Kings. You get a few playoff series under your belt. Maybe then you start kind of going into that resting mode, but I don't know.
Yeah,
because these guys are also. It's like they're like Domas is 26.
They are young guys.
And,
I mean, Barnes is the vet.
Yeah. Barnes is another interesting guy because I think he had was it the Boston game where he like had one good quarter and then he's just kind of non-existent? Like that, I feel like that's a guy that earns rest.
Yeah, he only played 25 against the Celtics. I just saw, which is good. If anyone needs rest, it's Barnes. I always say, like, yeah, Barnes keeps his body in great shape. Like, this dude gets tired all the time. They've always said that. I'm just like, this dude always hits a wall.
What's his 3-point percentage since the All-Star break? Because he was going into the All-Star break pretty solid, if I'm not mistaken.
You ask me this like I know, but
I'm asking this. This is me telling you.
It up.
Look it up.
Well, yeah. Sorry, you're telling me what?
Well, isn't that a sign? I mean, like he picked up the 3-point shooting kind of in January going into February.
He was on.
And then for most of February, and then this month, I feel like he's been like kind of low.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So post All-Star break. Sorry, I'm just trying to close out ads. He's shooting actually higher than pre All-Star break by 0.01%. Sorry, 0.10%.
Wait, what's the percentage?
He shot pre All-Star 37.4, post All-Star 37.5.
Oh,
on 0.20 tenths less, and 0.10 makes less.
Okay, so there's no difference.
He's pretty much.
So scratch what I said.
Let's see. He's pretty much the same player, scoring 0.2 more points a game, playing 0.3 more minutes.
Oh man, he's just putting that load on.
That's Barnes for you. That's why I love Barnes. Has the same plus minus 2.4.
Yeah, what a guy.
Yeah.
Just a steady force out there.
I love Barnes.
Even if he's not scoring, he's always doing something.
Harry Barnes, dude.
Harry Barnes. But I guess that rest thing, I guess it's just something to keep in mind. And I'm sure there's a lot of fans out there that are scratching their heads like, that seems like that would be a simple fix. And I kind of see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
When you take that standpoint.
No, it's true.
But, we'll have to see